Hey folks, welcome to the YouTube channel stream, which I haven't done in quite a while, but I thought it would be a lot of fun to share with you guys my process as I work on continuing building A Link Between Worlds HD. So yeah, feel free to join me in the chat and say hi, and ask me questions along the way if you have anything to ask. I'm going to put some OC remixes on here. If the audio levels need to be fixed, let me know. But yeah, it's been usually I stream on Twitch. All my gaming stuff, all my extra life stuff. I'm always on Twitch doing stuff like that. But over here on the YouTube channel, I thought, um, I share all my tech and gaming stuff and my game mods over here. So I thought it'd be fun to uh, do a stream like that and see what you folks think of uh, content like that. If you like it, I'm going to do more of it. If no one likes it, I'm just going to keep doing it by myself. I do stream this type of stuff in the Discord server as well. So if you are interested in it, you can hop in there and check it out as well. And let's see. One thing I needed to do, which I did not do, which you get to see live, all the goof up things, right? I did not change my Twitch settings, which is totally fine. People are going to think that I'm playing Diablo, which I'm not doing. So I am going to try to change that really quickly here. In the meantime, I am going to put some music on. So just if you're watching, sit back and relax, and hopefully we can find some chill music here. Let's turn this up a little bit. All right. That sounds all right for now. What am I doing? I'm creating Zelda A Lonk Between Worlds. A Lonk Between Worlds HD. Do we have the chat on here? We do over on that side. Alright, that's fine for now. Link Between Worlds. That'll do. Alright, so unfortunately I can't show a whole bunch of, all my different apps that I have going on because I have 3 monitors in front of me. Usually for my streaming setup, I have everything kind of on one side with OBS and my chat. And then on the other side, I have, I'm keeping up on all my browser stuff, and then in the middle I usually game. But when I'm doing something like working on a mod, I usually do my testing on the center screen here, so that's what you're going to be able to see. Here's Citra for testing A Link Between Worlds. I may pull Photoshop over from time to time, so you can see what's going on over there, because that's the point, after all. What's going on over here? All right, so where did I leave off? So far on the HD mod pack, we have, picking up this, there we go. So far on the HD mod pack, we have the HD font pack, and I've been working on different HUD elements. So I'm going to open up the game here and just show you where we're at. You know what I've never done is mute the game, which is something I'm going to want to do right now because I don't want copyright flags going left and right. Audio. Let's turn that down. With the music, it's probably not going to be a problem. So far, as you can see, we have, I'm going to turn this down a little bit more. I'll turn it up for you guys a little bit. It's always a trick getting the levels right where you want it so people can hear. Blood Corrupt. Having bandwidth issues, so you couldn't watch my stream properly. Once you get proper bandwidth, you will watch with some fun. Well, that's very cool. I hope that your bandwidth issues get figured out, because it would be cool if you joined. I'm going to turn that off for now. I might want to use this footage later for something. So, as you can see so far, we have an HD logo. We have HD fonts. This is an older save game file. I've been playing around with... Oh, we have to turn controller companion off because that's going to be a pain. I've been playing around with doing the hearts. So that's still a work in progress, unfortunately. Have this map to X so we can bring this up full screen. I have done the map, the overworld map, which I think looks pretty cool, and the dark world map, and it's synced up perfectly. So that's that. Now what I'm doing next is HUD things. I'm going to work on the weapons and items and slowly work my way through different things here. So last night I was working on the Orange Sage. It's a River Zora. There she is. You can see it in all of its high definition glory. And I'm just going to keep working on this. So I think the next one to fix... When is the next one to fix here? Hey, thanks for joining me. Fortunately, on this overlay, I don't have my alerts set up, so let's turn that on so I can see who actually joined. It just faded away. Please jump into chat and say hi. Then I'll know. Then I'll know who you are. So right now I'm just trying to open up my project directory here. Zephania Noah, hello. How are you doing? Hope I pronounced your name right. I'm curious to know how you get the textures. Do you extract them from the ROM, or do you just turn on texture dumping and play the game? The latter. It's all through Citra here, and Citra, you can set it up so it just dumps all your textures. You have to play through the entire game. So if you're looking to do that yourself, you can do that and collect all the textures, and then you can change anything you want to change. We're also starting to get people to look at doing different things with the file system and get into model edits and things like that. I come from I don't know if you've seen my other stuff here on YouTube, or I haven't done any of it. You're watching from Twitch, so I haven't shared really anything in terms of my Breath of the Wild modding over on Twitch in quite a few years now. But I kind of come from that background of modding Breath of the Wild. I have another project Golden Goddess, which I'm hoping to release some stuff on that here in the near future. Yeah, dedication. It takes a lot of work. This is the EU version of the game in Citra, and it has about 10,000 textures. So it's going to take a while to do it, but I mean, if you've played A Link Between Worlds, you are going to notice a night and day difference. Just look at this, for example, like this was a bit of a blurry mess. You're talking about a, what, 300 pixel height screen on the 3DS or something like that? Excuse me, I'm going to drink tea as I continue talking and working on this. I actually have my folder here open. This is all my different Zelda stuff. So we're going to hop in here and going to want to open up a few of these. So I'm going to pull this back over to my other window. Art stuff is going to go over here. I'm going to try not to block my chat on OBS. We'll get there eventually, though. So an interesting thing about this game as well is that, like each of these paintings, for example, these are all different textures. So they actually did scale them for each of the different sections. Oh, Link's about to die. We're just listening to OC remixes, by the way. So the one I was working on last night is the one you get on the main screen when you actually click on it. This is what I was using. There's another HD mod pack out there, and I don't want to throw any shade at the person who created it, but I was using it as an example, a comparison really for size. And what the person did was similar to what I did with the Star Wars Episode 1 Racer HD mod pack for all the cinematics. And it's really popular now. A bunch of people are doing this, throwing it through the ESRGAN model algorithms. But I prefer to do a lot of custom work because if you don't, and again, I don't want to throw any shade, but those models aren't always the greatest. Even with the Star Wars Racer mod pack that I was doing work on, you have to fix things up all the time because if you just push all the textures through, um, like things, it's sharpening and blurring and it just doesn't look right. So I'm going to be using official artwork primarily, and then when I can't find official artwork, I'm going to see if there are any good recreations that people have made, and so I'm partnering with other creators and featuring their work in this. And then outside of that, I'll be doing my own Photoshop work and custom painting with my Wacom tablet to fill in whatever else needs to be done. I'm going to be turning this music to something else because that's driving me nuts. That's what I was going to ask next. Upscaling algorithms don't always look great. Do you use any AI upscaling tools? I'm just going to add to what you said about them not always looking great, which is what I was just talking about. They really don't look good with text, by the way. So bringing up the Racer HD mod pack that I was working on, the entire, every Star Wars has an opening crawl where the text goes up the screen. I recreated all that stuff in After Effects because you just cannot upscale text with those algorithms. It just warps everything. So to answer your next question about upscaling tools, I do use through command line the ESRGAN models mostly, and then after that, there's some other tools like Gigapixel that you could use, things like that, or you could do some things in Photoshop too. It's really just kind of a balancing act between blurring and sharpening different aspects of it. I would really like to get my hands on some of the NVIDIA stuff that's starting to come out now, because I think in a few years that's probably going to be what everybody is using. It much more intelligently can fill in that missing pixel data. All right, we're going to bring this over just so you can see what I'm working with here. I think this texture here, this is the same Zora princess, by the way. Let's click back on her and open this up. So this is a perfect example of what an AI upscale, of how an AI upscale algorithm can mess up an image. This is completely, if you didn't know that this was the Zora princess, you wouldn't know it. It's just a green and yellow blur, right? It doesn't look good. This is where high resolution artwork is going to save the day for, things like this where I have official artwork, and but I don't have official artwork for things like, all the UI, this red background and these little frilly things. I don't know what you call it, but all this stuff I'm going to be doing myself in Photoshop with my mouse and with the Wacom tablet to make it look the way it's supposed to look. Okay, so ESRGAN actually is an AI upscaling tool. That's neat. It is really neat. It's really useful. You just have to, it's a tool like everything else though, right? So you have to know when to use it and how to use it. And it's just something that kind of drives me nuts, is that people just kind of push everything through a model and then, call it a day. But you can't really do that if you want it to look nice anyways. All right, let's go back to Photoshop here. So I'm going to fix this right here. I'm not sure exactly where this is going to come up, if this specific texture is going to end up being her right there. You know what? It might actually be, I'm going to restart the game, because the portraits also come up on the character menu screen. I'm just going to take a look and then compare it to my Photoshop image here. Judging by the size of it, I'm guessing that might be what it is. It's only a 32 by 32 pixel image. Ah, yes, I think that's what that is, but 128, okay. New files. So that is not the same one. So I'm looking for another one, but I'm going to move on to some of these because I have the images for these other ones. I'm just going to have to keep working until I get to, in my 10,000 texture files, until I come across that Zora princess. So I'm going to go back to Photoshop here. This is the 32 by 32. So let's just work on all of these. What ones do I have? I have him. I have that sage. Excuse me. I have, what's her name? Ceres. I just did her. I have Impa. But I am missing. I'm missing the textures for, I guess. I can't remember now. Is Zelda one? The Green Forest Sage is one. And I have him too. So it'd be a little bit better if I had a 100% save game state. I know I have all the textures, so that's fine. We're going to be using this as an example, though. Is this the right file? No, it's this here. That's just the PNG. This is what I want. This is the 32 by 32 one that I worked on last night. So I am going to be changing the file name of this, and let's do Ceres, the blue one. Minimize that again. And we'll bring her in like this. And that's what the graphic looks like right now. I'm not going to keep that here. I just wanted to show it to you. It does not look good, obviously. So let's delete that. But that's the file name. Paintings. You're the one we want. I might increase some of these at some point. I don't know. I was considering it last night, like how much of an upscale do I want here? Do I want to go 4K? Do I just want to bring it to HD? There's a considerable difference in quality already. Just by... Let's do that. Just by making the changes that I've made so far. It's a lot of comparison back and forth like this. Ideally, you want to get it done right the first time. I have been increasing, let's see, everything by 4, I believe. It's good to keep your calculator open. I was thinking originally, you know, I can go 4, I can go 8, and I think 4 is what I'm going to stick with. The problem, right, is that the bigger the image is, the more difficult it's going to be for people with lower spec machines to load all this stuff. Some people might already be having struggles running Citra on their hardware as it is. So, and again, I can, speaking of the AI upscaling tools, that's where I can come in and use those tools to do like a 2 times upscale of the images I've already done work on. You don't really lose a lot when you just do a couple like that. You start to lose a lot of detail if you're going to go up to, you know, like 3, 4, 6, 8 times and you're using the AI upscaling tools. It's not really the best course of action to just as like a full sweep through. Zoom this in a little bit more here. That looks really close. That is actually like spot on. Now, as I'm doing things like this, I'm looking at specific pixels, right? I'm not just looking at, like, I'm looking at the triforces on each of the corner of the paintings. And I'm looking at specific pixels. So, like, the blended pixels here, the blended pixels over here. And this is just like a huge fluke that this has matched over spot on. So there are all other effects on here. I'm going to copy over. So we just do a copy layer style. We bring it up here. We paste it. We're going to hide that layer. Now this is set up to the file name of the Zora Queen, which we don't want. So we're going to open this up. And we are going to look at, let's see, what is the name here? Just going to copy it from the original files that I have on the side. Double check just to make sure that it's right. It's not something you want to mess up. And it looks right. So I'm going to hit save. Say OK. I could do a master file actually for all these things, but I'm actually saving them by the file names. I'm really kind of like compartmentalizing every step of this, because if I need to change anything at some point in the future, I don't want to be confused about it. I just want to look at the image, look at the file name, and know that I'm where I'm supposed to be. So let's save this out under new files, but we already have it saved as a PSD, so we're going to save it as a PNG. There are other ones from before. We'll save that. And we'll minimize this, open up our Citra, stop this emulator. I am going to copy over that file. How you do that on Citra is super easy. You just right click on your game, open custom texture location. It'll open up a window. And these are my 10K files. So we're just going to paste it in here. Yes, we want to replace the original one. We're going to move that over. Then we restart the emulator. It's a very tedious process. It's not fun. But this is how you do it. So there we go. That worked. There she is. I am still really tempted to actually do this at 8 times before I get too far into this, because even at 4 times it's still a little blurry. And like, I'm on a 1080p monitor. So, you know, you bring that up to 4K and you're either on a TV or you're on a desktop or what have you, and then you start dealing with blurring. And I really don't want that. So can see there's some things I need to add to this as well. These are really thick, the shadows, and I'm probably going to thicken them up here. So let's start the game and we'll take a look at of course it's not this one yet. I need to get the texture, excuse me, for this, but the other one that we need to do is, I don't know what you call this, the info panel. So we're going to work on this next. So we'll save that. Don't need that right now. You can see a whole bunch of my Photoshop stuff. We're going to use the Zora again as a guide. You can see I have all my guidelines set up there. So we bring Ceres back over, reposition her, and dive back in. Try to get this pixel perfect, just like the last one. It's pretty close already. Just needs a little bit of an adjustment. Yeah, that looks good. I think that's good. We're going to copy the layer style just like the last one. Paste it and get rid of that image below. We're going to save it out again. This time we're changing the name again. This is the 128 version. Of course, it's 4 times that. Saving the PSD. Then we're going to save the new file here. It's a PNG. And then, here we go. There's our new file. So I'm going to copy it, bring this off screen, close this out, bring our textures back for the game, paste it in, replace the original, bring that back over, and we're going to restart the emulator yet again. So, let's see here. Where's she coming up? And she's not coming up. Why is she not coming up? This was our 128. That should be her right there. What is going on? Well, let's back out. Here's the first one we did. As far as I know, these textures, as far as I can think, these textures they're used here in the menu. They're used in, well, this is the user menu, your account or whatever you want to call it. They're used in the UI menu, the item menu, the about when you select it, and they're probably, I know that the textures are going to be somewhere else in game, and this might have been a duplicate of one of those, but I find that really strange because I think that those would maybe actually be, it'd either be a shared 128 pixel version or it would be higher. Because there she is right there. This dude we want to get rid of. Side of 32. 32. Oh, did I copy the wrong one over? Because that would do it. We need a 128. Human error happens all the time. Let's restart this and see if that's what it was, because I think it was just me. Zeres, there we go. That looks way better. I think I should do that fairy. Every single time I see something, I wanna get in there. Let's see. That lamp needs to be fixed, and I actually already have the artwork for that. I'm not sure why it's not in there. Just gonna stop this. There's the font pack. Which I still need to keep working on the font pack, by the way. Just all the English stuff is done on it so far. But there's still a bunch more work that I need to do. Texture pack. And it is not there. All right, so here's the lamp here that I've done previously. This was the first item I ever did, actually. But for some reason, the texture for it is gone. I must have cut and pasted it at one point. Another reason why I keep all my project files. Because I make silly mistakes like that sometimes. Because I am only human. So let's paste that in. Jump back in. Thanks, I really appreciate that. As you can see, it takes a lot of work to do this. So I really do appreciate it when people see that and appreciate it. It's going to take a long time to get through all this, but it's going to make a big difference. part of the reason why I'm live streaming the process. I want to share this with people and bring them into the process. Let's open this up. Look at that. Now that looks really good, doesn't it? It looks way better than it looked before. Just comparing it to the other items here. There are a few things I still want to do to this, but I think it looks pretty good so far. In a future session, I'm going to be going through and doing all of these items. That's when it's really going to start to come together. And then once I get all the items complete in the game UI, all the up front facing elements, I'll do all the gear items. I'll probably do all the items first, then the gear items. The map's done, of course. I'm going to start doing things like the pin needs to be done. The little seashell dudes need to be done, the mai-mais. And I'll start doing the custom paint work for the map and the background textures, the bell, all that stuff. It's going to take quite a while, but I'll get there. Excuse me. These little birds. Everything, obviously, but okay. So let's go back to the paintings and see what we have here. Once we get a little bit further into modding this game, and we have more tools for it, I am going to be putting in my own shield. Just to connect it to my Breath of the Wild mod pack that I've been working on. I gotta take the sweater off. I am sweating. But yeah, if you like what I'm doing here and you want to support it, please check out my Patreon page. I really support all the help. I really appreciate all the help that I get, all the support that I get. Gonna have to excuse my misspeaking. Been dealing with migraines the last few days. Haven't been feeling too great. If you do become a patron of mine, get access to all the behind the scenes stuff that I share on my Patreon blog and get a special role on my Discord server and stuff like that as well. All right, so lamp. Yes, it is. It's a lamp. What do I want? Gear. Now, I'd really be happy if I could find these ones. But until then, I just have to keep working on the textures that I have file names for. But what would you like to see me do next? Still have to do Impa, Rosso, Osfala. Haven't collected him yet, but I have, I can't remember what the Earth Sage, the little Kokiri kid, what his name is. This little guy right here, this little green blur. The green blur. Welcome to anybody new who's watching the process here. If you're just joining us, I've been walking through the process of modding A Link Between Worlds. I'm giving it the HD treatment. We're working here in Citra, doing some pretty basic texture work today in Photoshop. But is that Feor's orb, the green one? Yep, this one. The Pendant of Courage, it is. In Din and Nehru, they don't call it that in this. Because, you know, taking it all from, taking it all from A Link to the Past, right? Which Ocarina of Time kind of absorbed all that from. And if you hadn't ever played A Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo, you had to collect each of these pendants. And once you got each of the pendants, you were able to unlock the Master Sword. So you see parallels there between A Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time originally, when it was in development, was actually supposed to be a remake of A Link to the Past. So thematically, there are a lot of similarities there. They just dive a little bit more instead of having the maidens for each of the. In this game, these actually are sages, but in Link to the Past, instead of having sages, they have mages speaking backwards. But you know what I'm saying. I think those orbs are also in the Wind Waker. They are. You had to go to the Triangle Islands, I think they were, and give each of the orbs to the little golden statues, right? And then they had that really cool cutscene where they shot lasers across the ocean. I love that game. Just played through that recently with my girlfriend. Alright, we have to pick one. Which one do you want me to do here? Keep in mind we've done these so far. So these are the ones you can choose from. Pick a color, any color. Purple one, you got it. We're going to do Impa next. Alright, so let's open up Photoshop again. Close that guy out. We'll start with this one since I have it open. We're going to delete that and leave her open. Save this again. We want the 128 Impa. Where is she? 128 Impa. There you are. Let's bring Impa in here. Bring her up like that. We're going to save this. I know it's kind of a long and boring process, right? But it's really important when you're doing something like this, though, to like really take your time, because it's really easy to screw things up, especially when it like a texture name is that. Whoops! What am I doing here? So I'm just saving this as a new PSD with the proper texture name. And we're going to dive back in and trying to match this up properly. I like to make it transparent at first. You can see it's a little bit too big. I'm matching up the top left-hand Triforce first, and then I'm going to do a Control-T, transform, scale this down and try to match the other Triforces. That looks pretty close already. You can see it's a little bit off. Looks like it's a little bit high. It's also off to the right a little bit by the looks of it. So the top left-hand Triforce looks pretty spot on. I'm doing this back and forth to do a comparison of pixels, right? And I'm using one of the older frames as a reference, obviously. And using the Triforces here, comparing the top right-hand Triforce. So the purple one is like a pixel to the right of the bottom one, which tells me that it's like a pixel too big, as an example. For as way to phrase it, anyways. Now I kind of screwed that up, so I'm going to go back. Fortunately, there we go. I think how I scaled it, did I do an alt there? I need to be doing it like that, okay. And that looks just about perfect. So just like last time, we're going to be copying over the layer styles, turning off the layer on the bottom. Let's bring that all the way up. Maybe that wasn't perfect. That looks pretty good. All right, and we're going to paste the other layer style onto IMPA. We're going to delete series. We'll delete that one too. Actually, I'll leave that there as reference for all of them, just in case. I'm going to save the PNG. Now, instead of testing this, because I don't really need to test it every single time, it ends up kind of being a waste of time. I'm going to move on and do the 4x32 pixel version. So we're going to open up the series one as a reference. We're going to zoom in on it. And we are going to bring IMPA back in. There she is. If you do hold shift on your rotate, it snaps it on these, like, 45. This is a ridiculous song. Kiriko Prom. These are really old OC remix songs. Alright, we'll turn that back down a little bit. So I'm going to save this with the proper file name. Uh, 267_13, I think that's right. And we're gonna do the same thing that we did last time. It's a little high, so we're going to bring that back down. Can turn that music down too because it is distracting. That looks spot on. Same as last time. Copy the layer style. Apply it to the one above. We can delete that. Save this file. So we've done a couple this time, so I'm going to put it into the game and we'll test it out. So here's what we've done so far. We're going to copy the input ones, Control C, open up our texture directory. There's our lamp. Control V, paste it into the directory and replace the original files that are there. There we go. We can bring this off screen again. And let's restart the game. Can you reload a save state to refresh the textures? Really good question. I don't think so. I think they're just loaded when the game loads. With certain things like the UI. Now, if it were, I don't know, I'm trying to think of another situation where that might not be the case. They're going to load it into a cache, right? It's a temporary cache for the emulator. So whenever the emulator encounters it for the first time, it's probably going to cache the image and then call that image. So I haven't noticed in any case where I've let's turn that off. I haven't noticed in any case where I have copied a new texture over and then reopen the menu or anything like that and have it actually change. So I'm pretty sure it's just calling a cached image, which means I have to reload the emulator. So we have an IMPA there. That's good. But I do have an IMPA there, but there is a but. So I'm going to show you that she's here. Not in here because, again, we don't have these textures. But when we click on it and hit X, you can see right away what the problem is. If you see the problem, let me know. I'm just going to read your message here. Zephaniah Noah, that makes things tedious. Yes, it does. It would be nice if the Citra devs made it easier to make texture packs. Yes, that would be amazing. I've talked to some of the devs about making things a little bit more simpler for us. And yes, she's facing the wrong way. So I'm going to fix that here in a moment. It's just a really simple horizontal flip or vertical, depending on how it is. I guess it'll be a vertical one to make her face the other way. So speaking of tedious, this might blow your mind a little bit, but every single texture name for the EU version, which is the one I'm running off of, is actually different from every texture name in the US version. Which might be different from other regions too. So, yeah, I don't know what the solution for that's going to be. So again, speaking about tedious, as it stands right now, that means that somebody, which that might be me one day. I mean, if people want me to do it, someone's going to have to manually rename every single one of the textures for each region variance of the game, which is just insane. So I brought it up in the Citra Discord with some of the devs. I think they should be handling texture packs the way Cemu, the Wii U emulator, handles things like this. And they just have graphic packs, right? So you have a graphic pack, and you say in the emulator, you have a configuration file essentially, and you say it applies to these variants of the game, these regional variants, and then it just applies it. So we need to do something like that for Citra. I'm kind of trying to push for it. So we'll see what happens. They said it wasn't possible. I don't really accept that it's not possible. I really don't. But I don't code or develop emulators. I don't really know about this stuff the way they do. But I think it's going to be possible in time. I think we just need enough modders to kind of be like, hey, we need this to happen. Can somebody please figure out a creative solution? With that said, let's go back into Photoshop and fix input here. Do you know what the names mean? They might be memory addresses of the textures of the texture locations in the ROM. They kind of look that way. I mean, if we open them up here, all we have is texture 1, for example, texture 1 underscore 32 by 32. So that's the dimensions of the original texture, and like a hexadecimal string and an underscore. A lot of them have underscores. I'm not sure. Like all these are underscore 13. What does that mean? I don't know. We'll figure it out at some point. I haven't really dived into it enough. Like maybe the underscore is the region number. I don't know. If it's just something like that, well, that's easy enough to fix. I can create a batch script that just renames everything with a new number at the end, right? But I have a feeling that that's not the case. It's probably going to be more complicated than that. We'll learn more about it, right, as time goes on. So let's close this out. And let's open Photoshop back up. And there's our first IMPA and our second IMPA. Let's do Control. Whoop. Let's do Control T. Instead of vertical, I can speak. Flip her around. I'm gonna give her a save. That's me replacing the original one. Let's go back to the larger version. Do the same thing. Do a vertical flip. Save it. We're going to copy the new ones over to our texture directory. Here she is looking up at the moon. And she should be looking down at Mother Gaia. So there we go. Let's reload Citra. So the small one, she's facing the right way. That looks good. And let's see about the, there she is. She's facing the right way. So that is good news. How are we looking for time here? We're a little over an hour. I'm going to go a little bit longer here. Maybe do 1 or 2 more. I'm not sure. Maybe just 1 more. Then we'll call it quits for today. All right, who to do next? All right, we have 2 choices, the red one or the yellow one. Anyone watching, please let me know in the chat. And that's the one I will work on. Zelda and Irene that I have to do that are missing from this menu. All right, let's do Osfala. Let's take a look at how he looks right now. All blurred out. That's no good. We are going to replace him with this. So let's do that right now. Back to Photoshop. Let's bring Osfala in here. We'll do the big one first. Oop, there we go. All right, we'll try to match these Triforce pieces up here. Hmm. So the top looks like it's matched, but the bottom is a little bit off. So it's a little bit too big, is what's going on. It's really difficult to do because it's like you're talking about like a pixel or two of movement, right? It's really not a simple manipulation because these images are still pretty big. But we're going to try to get it as close as we possibly can. Hmm. It's weird because both the top and bottom Triforce actually look really closely matched, like really closely matched. It's the bottom half which isn't matching, which suggests that this image is actually just a little bit shorter than the other ones, which is really strange. I don't know why it would be shorter. But that's how it looks. Let's bring you up to full opacity. Maybe we'll be able to see a little bit better. Yeah, we're talking like a pixel movement is a big deal here. So I'm actually going to do a horizontal. That's migraine brain for you. I'm going to do a horizontal manipulation on this by like the smallest amount. Now it fits. That's really strange. It looked like it was like, I don't know, a few pixels off in its height. So I'm going to have to do that with the other one too. It might be easier with a smaller one. But same as last time, we are going to copy this layer style and apply it to the one above and paste it, and then turn this one off. We need to make sure that we are saving the right file name. Oh, interesting. I don't seem to have the large one here. So I'm going to give this a temporary file name. Osfala. That's his name, right? Osfala. We're going to save him for later. I do have the small one, so we're going to work with the small one. Let's do that. That looks right. I think we need to flip him too, though. I think all the art was flipped in the game. I'm going to have to look for a reference somewhere. Or just reload the base textures. Let me do that right now. Here we go. Well, that's where they got those from, but I think in-game it might be different because these in-game textures that I have are different. OG textures. It might actually be easier to create a language mod than to rename every texture. Yeah, I'm sure it would be. I'm not sure how that specifically would help us here with this example, but I think that that would be true. So I'm looking at other textures here for reference. Let's see if I can find Osfala. Might as well bring this over so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just scanning through this really quickly. I think these are going from small to big, so we want a 32. 32, 32. 32 by 16. Sorry, I'm referring to what you were talking about earlier, how the texture names are different in the American version of the ROM. Where'd that go? I think I just saw the stained glass texture for the sanctuary. Just kind of making mental notes as I go through here because I'm going to have to touch on each of these things. Like there's the base shield. There's the sword. I don't know why, but the weapon textures are stored upside down and then they do like a vertical mirror on it in game. There's some development reason for that. I have no idea what it could be. These textures here, these 64 by 64s, I think might be the other textures that I'm looking for the, excuse me, for the menu, the missing textures that I haven't been able to find, which means that if they are, then they are separate from the texture of a frame, and there's some kind of in-game coloring going on, but I'll figure that out in time as well. Like there she is again, without a frame. Very odd. Okay. Anyways. Not a big deal. I am going to flip him anyways. So we're going to do a Control T on him. Do a vertical flip. If I need to change it around later, I will. It's not the end of the world. Gonna copy that. Layer style. Paste it onto Osfala. Get rid of Impa. And I want to not save this because I'll save over Impa and that would be bad. So we're going to save as, bring this over, and copy the proper texture name for Osfala. We're going to paste it in here. Just like that and hit save. Then we're going to save this out as a PNG. So let's minimize that. And restart this. So I still need to find the file name for that larger version of Osfala. Once I do, I can rename the file. It'll take a little bit of digging through my textures. And not these ones, but these ones, I think. Anyways, we'll put this aside for now. Okay. Now I think I forgot to copy the actual texture over. Guess I'm starting to get a bit of a noodle brain. Aren't I? There we go. So we'll paste him in here. He should show up right there. That's the texture. We'll restart it. There is. So that worked out just as we wanted it to. Have a little bit more time, so I am going to just finish off with our red guy right here. Okay. So let's open Photoshop back up. Let's delete Impa. We don't want her. We want... What do we want? When do we want it? HD mod packs. When do we want them? Yesterday. Here we go. Rosso. Let's bring him on top here. He looks a little bit long. The Osfala looked a little bit short last time, didn't he? But he matched up with Impa. So, that's okay. Just gonna shorten him up just a smidge. That looks perfect. Copy the layer style over, paste it. This is our 32 by 32 texture. So we're going to save him by the right file name. And then we are going to save this out as PNG in the right directory, of course. While we're at it, we're also going to do the larger version. Let's bring him over like that. Whoop. Let's bring him underneath. That worked out pretty good last time. Did I shrink him down too much? I think I did. Think I did. That looks pretty good. Just gonna see about its comparison to Impa. I think that's good. Yep. The lighting is on the other side, or right. You flipped it. Are you referring to the side that the light should be coming from? Yeah, I flipped IMPA, didn't I? So it's dark on this side, the light is casting from the bottom. And on this one, it's on, okay. I need to see... I don't have my DS with me, my 2DS. Need to see what it actually is. I wonder if they're all flipped over this way. I like this track, but we gotta turn that down a bit. Alright. Turn that back up a bit. So I did flip IMPA. I'll have to check for the frames later. But for now, I'm just going to, I'm going to do him. We don't want that on. We don't want her on either. I might have to go back and change it, is what I was trying to say. And that's totally fine. That's not a problem. But just for right now, I'm going to save this out. Not as Osvila, because that's not who it is. And we'll put it in the game. What's the 128 variant? So you should be named that. .png. Yeah, because obviously we want the light to be cast on all the frames in the right direction. So I'll go back and make sure that that consistency is there, because it should be there. And that's our new texture. We'll put him in there. And we're going to come over here. And we'll just take them all, even though they're pretty much all in there. And we're going to paste them in here. Just like that. Easy peasy. Open up Citra again. Restart the emulator. Alright, so there he is. Right there, little guy. I can't really tell, can you? Like, I guess this is the dark side for this. And that's probably the dark side for her too, so I probably have to flip him. Bring him up. Switch the screen over. Not too shabby, is it? But as you can see, it is a lot of work to, yeah, it looks great, right? Thank you. As you can see, it's a lot of work to get all these textures updated and put back into the game. Moving forward, we're going to continue on each of these. I'm going to find out where these guys are, these textures, and I'm going to start working on all these different UI items and making these HD. So for now though, I'm going to take a break. I'm a little over 90 minutes, an hour and a half. And there's Ceres right there. You can see the HD fonts and everything. The hearts are still work in progress, obviously. And I'm going to leave it at that for now. Folks, everyone who's joined me, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Again, this has been a bit of an experiment. I usually stream on Twitch, but I thought I would stream on my YouTube channel and Twitch at the same time today and just give a little behind the scenes look at the progress on A Link Between Worlds HD. If you're interested in helping me complete this a little bit faster, you can jump over to my Patreon page. It's patreon.com/JeremyKingTech. If you support one of the many things that I do, my mod packs, my PC tech solution videos, my game mod videos, you can check out my YouTube channel. It's also Jeremy King Tech. I'm Jeremy King Tech on everything, so you can just search me by that. Thank you again for being here, and I hope to see you in a future stream. Zephaniah Noah says, thanks for the stream. That was really neat to watch. Well, I hope you come back. Happy to share the entire process of going through, and I hope that other people that are interested in creating things like this are inspired and then move forward and start to work on their own mod projects, because that's what it's all about. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next stream. Peace.